Could or should the Cardinals swing for the fences in a deal to land one of the most exciting players in the sport? We'll talk about it today on Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafron, a former national radio sports anchor, born and raised in St. Louis and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And welcome to Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Yes, you're going to get the clapping again. Good stuff. Big thank you to all of the everydayers who have been here with us throughout this entirety. You guys are great. And for those of you who are new, welcome in. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving you all the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode being brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. So on today's show, we're going to discuss the Cy Young, I don't even know what I said there, Cy Young award winners in Major League Baseball. I want to compare them to the last time a Cardinals player won the award, and it's been a bit. So we're going to do that today, but we're going to start today's episode with a story from Rob Rains at stlsportspage.com. If you don't follow him, I think you should. I encourage you to do that. Just another solid journalist that covers our St. Louis Cardinals, and I love his stuff during the season, like the post-game stats. Like, he's always got the cool stat stuff that are always fun to go through. The nerd inside me geeks out over that kind of stuff. So give him a follow on X and make sure you go to stlsportspage.com. Check out his work. But anyways, this is his story, which I am going to link in the description so you guys can give it the proper hits and check it out for yourself in its entirety. And his suggestion for our St. Louis Cardinals is to go get Fernando Tatis Jr. from the San Diego Padres. And I know. You're probably laughing right now. You're giggling. You're like, what? You might have just spit your drink out onto your laptop or in your car, wherever you're listening. Maybe you tripped and fell off the treadmill. Like, what did he say? And I get it. I do. But let's hear him out before we say things like, I'll have whatever he's smoking or whatever he's drinking. Give me that. Give me a double of that juice. Pillars instead of fillers, as Rob calls it in his article. Apparently got that phrase from former Cardinal Andy Van Slyke, which I love. I think it's great. And the need for more pillars instead of the fillers goes along with things that we have been saying here at Locked On Cardinals for the last couple seasons. And that's, where are the star players for the Cardinals? Where are they? Where have they gone? You know, for years, the Cardinals have had guys carrying the torch that were elite players in the league. Some of the best. You know, Albert Pujols, Nadir Molina, Jim Edmonds, Scott Rowland. Larry Walker came here at the end of his career. Wasn't the MVP guy by that point, but he came in the end. Mark McGwire, Will the Throw Clark, who filled in for Mark McGwire when he was injured. Carlos Beltran, Lance Berkman, Matt Holliday. They go get Nolan Arenado. They go get Paul Goldschmidt. I mean, how many of those guys were actually homegrown stars? Not many. Just Albert and Yachty. But they used their farm system, which was considered very good at the time, to go get those guys, to go get the big names that they needed, and to grab all those wins and to get all those banners and those trophies that we see around Busch Stadium. Now we've come to the end of the road, just like Boyz II Men used to sing about. A ballad which still bangs, by the way, for you younger people and don't know the Boyz II Men and End of the Road. Ask your parents about it. Check it out on Spotify. But the end of the road of the Goldie and Arenado era. And unfortunately, that era ended quicker than I think the Cardinals anticipated, and also without the success that they were hoping for, too. No championships. And it was such a missed opportunity in 2022. Remember, with Goldie, the MVP, Nato, one of the runner-ups. He was a finalist. Pujols is chasing history. The final year of Yachty, Tommy Edman had a 6.2 WAR that year. You had an outfield that featured Harrison Bader and Tyler O'Neill and Dylan Carlson. Brendan Donovan was there. Those were like your younger core, although Bader ended up getting traded at the deadline to go get Jordan Montgomery. And then they get bounced in round one, and it all comes crumbling down after that. Nato and Goldie fade big time in 2023 as they just fall into the crap of one of the worst records in baseball. Pujols and Yachty retire. O'Neill and Carlson flame out. Michaelis and Wainwright bottom out. And since then, the Cardinals haven't had any star players to really lead the charge and make the Cardinals feel relevant anymore. Obviously, not winning also has a little something to do with that as well. The idea was that Arenado and Goldie were going to be your stars until the next group of stars were ready to come up, and that hasn't happened. And when the Cardinals almost made the trade to go get Juan Soto that year, the thing that I was most thrilled about before he got shipped to the Padres was that they were trying to acquire another superstar, not just, let's get a good piece. They were trying to get somebody of elite talent to lead them, somebody young, somebody who was special, stood out amongst everybody else, and they were going to make a run at it. And it didn't happen. The Nationals got a better offer from the Padres, and they went that way instead. The Padres had a better farm system. They had better players to offer, and that's what happened. They tried to get Giancarlo Stanton, if you remember, after his MVP season. He didn't want to go to St. Louis. He wanted to go be a Yankee. That's what he wanted to do. So that didn't work, and they ended up getting Marcell Ozuna instead. That didn't work out. The Cardinals still need a young superstar to build around. They thought Oscar Taveras was going to be that guy until his untimely death, right? They thought, and I think the plan is that when Nato and Goldie started to get into the twilights and they were ready to move on from them, that you would have Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman, your first round picks. Those would be the guys that would take over the mantle. And that has not happened in spectacular fashion, right? They've got good pieces. They've got Ivan Herrera. They've got Alec Burleson. They've got Mason Wynn. JJ Weatherholt is on the way. But you need a guy that people fear, that demands attention. And when I did the Cardinals Blue Jays comparison, was that last week? Before, I don't know. They all run together after a while. But when we were talking about that after the World Series, and I was just like, let's for fun, let's just kind of compare what the Cardinals have to what the Blue Jays have. And there were certain spots that I know you all laughed at that too, but that matched up okay, that there was some similarities. They had decent, solid bats to surround their star hitter, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. The Cardinals don't have one of those guys, right? I know Bo Bichette was very good. So was George Springer this past year. But Vladdy is the man, right? He's the face. He's the straw that stirs the drink. He's the guy everybody wants to talk to. When you think Toronto Blue Jays, you don't think George Springer. You don't think Bo Bichette. You think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. When you say St. Louis Cardinals, who do you think of right now? Yeah. See what I'm saying? That's the thing. The Cardinals need that guy. They need the one guy that you can just be like, Cardinals, bam, this is the guy. For years, it was Albert, and then it was Yachty. Wainwright was a part of that. But who's the guy now? Who is it? So that's kind of where we're at here. And Rob gives some reasons why this move would make a whole lot of sense for the Cardinals. And whether you might still be laughing. I know. It seems absurd, but these are the things that we got to talk about in the offseason. So I'm going to share his thoughts with you. I'll give you my thoughts, why it's a good idea. One thing you're actually going to question is like, wait, well, hold on. Doesn't he have like a massive contract? Yeah, he does. But Rob makes a good point about how the Cardinals can make that work. So we'll get into all of that coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. The NBA is back, and there is no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Now, if you miss the start of the game, which happens, or maybe you catch it late and you want to ride the hot hand, you can jump in with the live bets on FanDuel. They've got live bets on everything from who's going to score next, to the fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout, which is what you want, right? If you're going to win, let's win big, right? It just keeps every game more exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Some of my favorites, again, Nikola Jokic has been killing it for Denver this year, trying to get another MVP trophy. But you've got other guys that you can pay attention to. Cade Cunningham, Russell Westbrook, Jaime Jaquez from the Miami Heat. There are other guys we can go with. Check them out, because right now FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com, sign up, and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. A big thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you enjoy daily Cardinals content, you can follow the podcast on X at @LO_Cardinals. We're also on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. We do not switch sports here. We do not move around. We're not going to start talking soccer or I might throw a little hockey in there from time to time, but it's all about baseball here at Locked On Cardinals. And again, I want you to check out Rob's article at stlsportspage.com. But let's put on our comfy pants real quick. All right. I want to get you comfortable. Comfy pants, put on the hoodie. Let's get settled in and let's dream a little, right? We're dreamers. Just picture Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field for your St. Louis Cardinals. Platinum glove winning Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field. 3-time All-Star, face of MLB's hat commercial, which I saw a bazillion times this year, in right field and batting third for your St. Louis Cardinals. Doesn't it make you feel all warm and tingly inside a little bit? Don't it? So why or how is this a thing, you ask? Well, here's what Rob Rain says about it. Rumors circulated as baseball executives gathered for the annual general managers meetings this week in Las Vegas that the Padres might entertain potential trade offers for Tatis. Padres GM A.J. Preller has collected a lot of pillar-type players in the last few seasons, and despite coming close, he has not seen his team reach the World Series. Those players don't come cheap. Tatis is one of 5 players on the Padres set to earn at least $18 million next season, and one of 4 who will earn more than $20 million. 3 of those players are set to earn at least $24 million every year from 2026 to 2033, creating the obvious need for some financial relief. Now, I've already read articles today that despite these rumors, the Padres are like, he's not on the market. He's not on the market. We're not trading Fernando Tatis in 2026. So shut up. Okay. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Usually these things normally don't just get made up. So despite those reports, we're going to go into this because it's fun. And I would love to imagine Fernando Tatis Jr. as a part of the Cardinals. That would be entertaining. I want to get on MLB The Show right now and trade for him and see what he would look like in a Cardinals uniform. But there are several reasons why this would make sense for the Cardinals. Number one, you're upgrading the production in the outfield. That's imperative. The Cardinals' offense production from the outfield last year was fugly. It wasn't just ugly. It was fugly last year. Raines even says the team's outfielders only hit 38 home runs in 1,745 at-bats while hitting 223 and with a 634 OPS. That is disgusting from an outfield. That's what you expect from, a group of your bench players to do that. Not your outfielders as a whole. That's awful. We know Victor Scott is not that guy, right? Heck of a glove, heck of a base stealer. He's not a bopper. Nobody expects him to be a bopper. You just want him to be on base, right? But your other 2 outfield spots in the corners, you need production out of those dudes. And Newpart and Jordan Walker just were not it last year. You got Burley, who plays some outfield, but he wasn't out there the whole time. He's going to DH. He's going to play first as well. But you need more from those corner spots to go with what Burley gives you wherever else he's playing. And you just drop a Tatis Jr. in there. Chef's kiss. Beautiful. It would be amazing. Age-wise, perfect. 27 years old, is in his prime. Hopefully he's matured from, the PED suspension that he went through. You've seen the blow-ups in the dugout with teammates before. Hopefully those days are done. They need to be over if you were to make a move like this, especially in a Cardinals organization, which, they just don't put up with stuff like that. This is not where the hotheads go. The hotheads get shipped out of St. Louis. They don't get to stick around. The defense, second to none. Just won the Platinum Glove Award for the National League again. This will be quite the upgrade from what we've seen in right field over the last few years, to say the least. And again, superstar, face of the franchise that they have longed for quite a while right now. Here, look at his face on YouTube. Gorgeous, right? So that's what you need. Because right now I got Mason Wynn in that role as kind of the face of the franchise. But pairing him up with a guy, because Mason Wynn's got some swagger, but you pair him up with a guy that's got some swagger, nicknamed El Nino for a reason, who's been on the cover of MLB The Show, who oozes confidence and excitement and has got a flair for the dramatics, and he's got the skill to back up all that swagger. Yes, please. Give me more. Give me 2 scoops of that. The one thing that Rob brings up that most fans are going to question, myself included, when I first started reading about this, is how does the money work? How would the money work for the Cardinals? Because as we know, they've been shedding payroll, not adding it in recent years. So how would they even make this work? How could they even think about something like Fernando Tatis Jr.'s contract? And Rob breaks it down like this. He says the contract shouldn't scare the Cardinals away. He does have 9 years left on a 14-year deal, which I know sounds bonkers in your mind, but it began in 2021. He'll only be 35 when the contract expires in 2034. He is owed a lot of money, as Rob says, but it is still a very reasonable deal for the next 3 years. He's set to earn $20.7 million in 2026, $25 million in both 27 and 28. And the contract does jump up to $36 million in 2029 with the same amount due each year until 2034. I know that sounds expensive, but you do know that contracts are just going up. But there's also a new labor deal that's coming down the pipeline at some point. Hopefully, we don't have a work stoppage. Obviously, us in the business are very concerned about that because what do we do? What do we do if that happens? But if they get this new labor deal done, it should be done before, obviously the escalation of the contract. And he says, who knows what the overall financial situation will be in the game at that time, talking about the later years of Tatis's contract. So, eventually you have to pay people. That's just the way it is, Like, unless you want to sit in mediocre or worse purgatory for the rest of your days, you got to produce stars. You got to pay to keep them, or you need to trade guys that you are producing in your farm system, go get other guys, and then pay those guys. But you got to pay people. You just can't keep cycling them out and expect to get to the top of the mountain. The Cardinals have been paying guys like Nolan Arenado, Miles Michaelis, Paul Goldschmidt while he was here, Sonny Gray at the moment is still with the Cardinals, and they're set to pay him $35 million this year. They've paid those guys quite handsomely. They will pay their stars. They just don't want to go buy them in the free agent market when everything is, Scott Boras bloated. And you can't really blame them for that. Only a select number of teams can afford those people on the free agent market. And the Cardinals they don't want to play that way. They don't want to do it that way. They want to produce their own stars and pay those guys. But you can also use those guys to trade for guys who are under contracts that you don't think are entirely outrageous. So what would it take to get him? That's the next question people are going to say. I have no idea. Again, they're saying that he's not even available. Rain suggests you could dangle Sonny Gray and his contract. The Padres want pitching. The contract is up after this year and maybe even the next year. Obviously, you'd have to add stuff to that. You would have to add people with upside, Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, Thomas Ajayce, one of the catching prospects probably, Bernal, Rodriguez, some of your pitching guys, maybe like a Tink Kentz. I mean, it would take quite a bit. Like it would be a massive haul. But that's what you do to get these guys. Like, you got to do stuff like that. Is the farm system built up to a point where you'd feel comfortable moving all of those pieces? Well, probably not. Probably not. And after all these rumors started, again, the Padres are stating that, he's not available this offseason. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but it's still an avenue to keep an eye on, because if it's not Tatis Jr., it's still something that the Cardinals should be looking at and keep in mind. They need a star to build around, and as unlikely as this is to happen, I'm not pretending that it is, this offseason probably not going to happen this offseason, but it's something they need to address eventually. All right. They got to get something like that. So, an everyday player, star player, I think is what they need. Somebody's going to be out there all the time. As great as it is to have a Cy Young Award winner, he only helps you every fifth day. So, an everyday player that the fans will want to come and see every day, that's what they need to be looking for. Tatis Jr. fits the mold. He would be perfect. It's not going to happen probably, but it's fun to think about. And maybe at some point there are other players around the league that will be available in a similar situation as Tatis Jr. if he's not. And Cardinals should definitely put in a call and talk and see what they can put together. Up next, speaking of Cy Young Award winners, let's talk about the new Cy Young Award winners. And I want to compare them to the last Cardinals winner, my guy, Chris Carpenter. We'll do that next on Locked On Cardinals. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. For your second listen, check out Locked On MLB, hosted by our guy Sully. Brings you a daily blend of humor and baseball throughout the offseason. You can find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. The Cy Young winners were announced on a Wednesday night, and the Tigers' Tarik Skubal won it for the second straight year in the American League, and it was the Pirates' Paul Skeens winning it for the first time in the National League, unanimous winner, too, which surprised me a little bit. I thought maybe one or two voters would go to somebody else, but obviously both of them are very deserving. In the AL, Skubal got 26 first-place votes, finished ahead of Garrett Crochet of the Red Sox and the Astros' Hunter Brown. Became just the 12th pitcher to win the award in back-to-back seasons. The last to do it, Jacob deGrom with the Mets back in 2018 and 2019. St. Louis native Max Scherzer did it with the Nationals in 2016 and 17. I don't know if you guys heard, he's a free agent. Breaking news. Max Scherzer is available. Bob Gibson won 2 Cy Young Awards, never won it back-to-back. Never did. His wins were in 68 and 70. The NL winner in 1969. Nice. The Mets, Tom Seaver. Now, I can make an argument that Bob Gibson should have won 3 in a row and beat Seaver that year. He had a lower ERA. He had 28 complete games compared to 18 for Seaver. He had more strikeouts, but whatever. The media loved the Mets that year. They were the cool team in 1969, so whatevs. We know how good Bob Gibson was. Tom Seaver was really good too, by the way. I'm not putting him down. I'm just saying. We're trying to be nice to our Cardinal guys here. Last Cardinal Cy Young Award winner, Chris Carpenter, 2005. So for fun, I thought we could compare what Carpenter did in 2005 to what these guys did here in 2025. 20 years. Carp went 21-5 that year. 21-5. Skubal was 13-6. Skeens 10-10. So point Carpenter. 20-game winners, man. When are we gonna get another one of those? When are you gonna get one? Cardinals, not just in baseball. I mean Cardinals. I need another 20-game winner. That would be nice. Let's go to, how about ERA? Carpenter, 2.83. Skubal, 2.21. Skeens, 1.97. Point Skeens. Excellent year. Strikeouts, Carp, 213. Skubal, 241. Skeens, 216. Point Skubal. Skubal was outrageous this year with the strikeouts. ERA plus, Carpenter, 150. Skubal, 187. Skeens, 270. Point Skeens. Fielding independent. FIP, Carp, 2.90. Scooble, 2.45. Skeens, 2.36. Point. Skeens. Whip, Carpenter, 1.055. Scooble, 0.891. Skeen, 0.948. Point Scooble. All right. I got one that Carp won. Let's show. Because you don't see this anymore. Chris Carpenter, 7 complete games, 4 complete game shutouts. Scooble had 1 complete game, and it was a complete game shutout this year. Skeens had 1 complete game, no complete game shutouts. So Carp wipes the floor with Scooble and Skeens in that particular category. More wins. It was a different era. I get that. But Carp was awesome. But it just shows you how dominant these guys in baseball were this year with Scooble and Skeens. Like, what a year. And now Scooble is rumored to be on the trade market. Skeens, not yet. But there was a story today that Pittsburgh might actually try to spend a little this offseason so that Skeens wouldn't demand a trade because he's about there. We'll see what they do. Either way, I love Chris Carpenter. My favorite pitcher growing up that I watched. And I just loved his attitude, his grit, that warrior mentality that he brought to the mound. And the dude could sling it. He was really, really good. Top pitching prospect Liam Doyle reminds me a lot of him, like just the way their demeanor is on the mound, the presence on the mound that Doyle shows. It reminds me a lot of Carp. So I'm looking forward to seeing if he can back it up in his first full pro season in 2026. So looking forward to that. MVPs will be announced tonight. I got Ohtani in the NL. Can't really say anybody else deserves it over him. In the AL, the big debate, is it Cal Raleigh? Is it Aaron Judge? I went with Cal Raleigh all season just because the demand of being a catcher and doing what he did offensively is just insanity to me. But I'm sure Judge will get some votes as well. Well-deserved, but I think Cal Raleigh takes it home tonight. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio, TikTok, and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. Like, subscribe on YouTube. Help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. I'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.